Okay, probably better get started here. I am unmuted, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, we finished up this last vocab test. There were a few of you who didn't get your corrections in, so you're a little late on that. Make sure you do it today if you hadn't, and drop me a note so I notice it as soon as possible and get that missing grade out of there. So we'll begin a new vocab cycle this week. I think that should wrap us up right before the short Thanksgiving Day week when we only have Monday and Tuesday, so that'll work out nicely. So that's lesson 5. Okay. Just take a look at those words real fast. Let's not worry about writing them all out this time, but we've got advocate, bandy, charisma, dastardly, efface, entity, gist, jaded, mesmerize, and ogre. That sounds like some fun material for creative usage. Look forward to that. All right, so vocab unit by Wednesday night. Only other active thing going on. We did do the, if there's anybody who for some reason who's not done the air practice test, please make sure and do that like today, okay, because that's late. I haven't actually taken a grade on it. I can tell when you did it, how long you spent on it, but that should be done. They need that data from us teachers. Okay, so dreams and aspirations. You've done annotations, you've done quiz, you've done think. People did pretty well on that quiz. That was looking good. Think questions for the most part looking good. Make that up, please, if you didn't finish it. That's for only daughter, right? Those have been checked this morning. And we're going to look at one more writing assignment to do tonight / tomorrow. I want you to try to really do a really good job on. That's the writing prompt. Okay, so I'll talk about that in just a sec. Can you guys get on the study sync and access your think responses? There's only 5 of them. You can at least talk through the discuss ones and maybe mention the other ones. I'll give you a minute to do that. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and tell you I'm kind of taking a day off tomorrow. I got to take my kid to the orthodontist, so I will not be in the building and I will not be having live sessions. It's smack in the middle of the day. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, so I'm just taking the day off. So nothing's actually due tomorrow. Vocab isn't due till Wednesday night. I'll go ahead and release grammar tomorrow, but that's not due till Friday as usual. And the write assignment that I'm going to have you do is going to be due by tomorrow night. It's just one full paragraph, but I want to give you a little bit of extra time, so you don't have to hurry through it today. You can take your time and do a good job because it will actually get kind of graded for a writing grade, like a 10-point writing grade. Do a little warm-up literary analysis. Later in the year, we'll do a full literary analysis paper. We will be starting up our next actual real paper process soon, which is the problem solution research paper. Probably next week, I think, as well as getting into Of Mice and Men. Okay, are you in there? Okay, hope you read this carefully and did some work on it because you are going to be writing about it soon. So in the think questions, the first one was refer to one or more details in the text to explain how Cisneros feels about being the only daughter in a family of 7 children. Support your response with ideas that are directly stated and ideas you have inferred from clues in text. Can anybody share what you did on that? Participation, of course. Number 1. I'm looking carefully for new hands. Okay, we're gonna let Ella go on this first one with the promise that somebody else is gonna go on the other 2, okay? Thanks, Ella, go ahead, what do you got?
Okay, so for this one, I cut from a text. I can understand that Sandra feels unappreciated and left out as being the only daughter in a family of 7 children. I can infer this because in the text it says, being the only daughter in the family of 6 sons forced me by circumstances to spend a lot of time by myself because my brothers felt it beneath them to play with the grown public. This shows that she was left to be very lonely by herself and she was not appreciated because her brothers were embarrassed to spend time with her or play with her in public.
Mhm. Good. She uses the word erased at one point, right? And very careful use of the word only, kind of in a double meaning, two different connotations. The word denotations and connotations of the word only. Think back to that last lesson. Good. Okay. Let's look at that second one. Write 2 or 3 sentences exploring what Cisneros' father felt about her plans to go to college and why he felt that way. It's kind of there's an like ironic twist to his reaction, right? What does this tell the reader about him? Support your answer with textual evidence. So what's his reaction? But then what if you realize that he really means? Let's hear from someone else on that one. Madeline, thank you. Go ahead.
I put that Cisneros' father thought her plans of going to college were good because her going to college was a good way of her finding a husband.
Okay.
What this tells the reader about her dad is that he really only wants her to go to college to get married, and he doesn't really care about college itself.
Exactly, right. And then when she doesn't get married, he says she quote unquote wasted all that education, which is particularly heartbreaking, right? Now, does this all mean that the father doesn't care about her? No, it's just kind of some old gender values, right, that haven't gone away in her culture at the time, and certainly with her family. Um, and it ends up kind of driving her, right? And then she's got kind of a resolution with her father later, which is covered in number 3, right? Write 2 or 3 sentences explaining the significance of the father's response at the end of the essay to the story the author had written. Can someone cover that one for us? What's the first thing he says? Anybody have that quote? Is that a hand there, Alex? Or were you just doing something?
The first quote he says at the end is, is this so and so? But he later on says, where can we get more copies of this for the relatives?
That's the significant statement, right? Yeah, yeah. He asks if he's recognizing some characters correctly, right? Good. But then where can we get more copies of the relatives? And that's when she realizes what, of course. Go ahead, Alex.
That he cares about her writing and that he appreciates it.
Yeah, maybe it took him seeing what it was and the depth that it had and the meaning that it had to his family to finally realize there was something to it that, maybe just wasn't something that he was used to appreciating, right? Okay, up to 4 and 5. So the Greek root nostos means to return home, and the root algos means pain. Use these roots along with the context clues to determine the meaning of the word nostalgia. So the Greek word suggests nostalgia has something to do with returning home, right? Text states that her father, quote unquote, suffered periodic bouts of nostalgia, right? So they would give up their apartment in Chicago, pack up the car, head south to Mexico City. We know from previous evidence that her father is Mexican, and he only reads and watches things that had to do with Mexico. So when he feels nostalgia, they return there. So nostalgia means obviously something about feeling missing something, thoughts about the past, right? Nostalgia. Probably heard that word, but might be a little tricky out of context. And then 5, remember the Latin root retro means backward, Latin root spec means look at. It's kind of a similar word in the same kind of family of meaning, right? Use the context clues provided to determine the meaning of the word retrospect. So her quote is, in retrospect, I'm lucky my father believed daughters were meant for husbands. It meant it didn't matter if I majored in something silly like English. So in the context of that, she's thinking about her past from the perspective as an adult. So it's not as much an emotional word like nostalgia as much as it is just a defining word of a timeline, right? So looking back in the past, for better or for worse, right? It's just about point of view. And we get a lot of that because of it's in first person, actually nonfiction first person. Okay, so let's look at the assignment I would like for you guys to work on. It's basically just a writing prompt. Let me get it set up here off screen and then I'll share it with you. You can look at your own if you want, or I'll screen share in just a sec here. Okay, so we've done the intro here, we have done the read, we have done the quiz, we have done the think, and finally, we have the write. So we have a prompt here. Now it's got a rubric included here, and it's just a 210 rubric. I'm not going to use that. Okay, so I'll either put comments in here or in progress book or something. But I'm basically I'm gonna give you 10-point rating grade for it. Okay, and maybe I'll type out and add to the agenda the things that I'm about to tell you. But if you want to maybe jot down these things that I want to make sure and see in this in a minute, if you want to grab a piece of paper and be able to type it, things to keep in mind to shoot for that 10, that'd be great. So the prompt in the third paragraph, Cisnero writes, I was the only daughter and only a daughter. What does Cisneros mean by this statement? What other words Cisneros' family used to describe her? Using examples from the text, explore how her role as the only daughter has helped shape her identity as a Chicana and a writer. Okay, so what we want to see here, I'm kind of looking for 4 things, okay? I'm looking for a thesis that answers the prompt, okay? Don't just summarize the story, answer that prompt. What does Cisneros mean by this statement? And then you can kind of follow that up with other stuff. But we want a definitive sentence or 2, okay, that names the story, right? Only daughter, that should be in quotation marks. It's a short piece that names the author and tells what she means by that, okay? Then you support that with evidence, okay? So I'd like to see 3 pieces of evidence from the story to help completely answer that prompt, okay? So you want to bring up each one, have something to say about it, how it helps define answering this question. And then I want to see good complete sentences and transitions. And I want to see correct use of punctuation, okay? Not just a bunch of commas. I don't want to see the pronoun I not capitalized and ridiculous stuff like that we should never see in an honors class. Okay, so one more time. Number 1, a thesis that answers the prompt. Number 2, 3 pieces of evidence. Number 3, complete sentences with transitions. And number 4, correct use of punctuation. Show me what you can do a good, careful job, and finish that by tomorrow night. Come off my share here. So what you might want to do is type it separately, so you can be comfortable outside of StudySync and really get it where you want it, and then just copy and paste the whole thing into that prompt to turn it in. I can easily see that you've turned it in. And what I just told you, I will add to today's agenda. So you don't have to, if you didn't get that all down while I was talking about it. All right, are we all good? That's all I've got for you. So I'll let you get to it. All good? Okay. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow, or see you Wednesday. Kendall, do you have a question? Or just waving? Okay.